Today we're diving into one of the most misunderstood topics for new investors: the difference between accumulating and distributing ETFs. We'll go over what an ETF actually is, how these two types work, what their pros and cons are, and, most importantly, how taxes in Europe can completely change which one is better for you. Stick around until the end, because I'll also show a real example over 10 years that reveals how much taxes can eat into your returns. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is an ETF? ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund. Think of it as a basket of stocks or bonds that tracks an index, like the S&P 500 or the MSCI World Index. Instead of buying dozens of individual companies, you just buy one ETF, and instantly own a little piece of all of them. ETFs are popular because they offer diversification, low costs, and simplicity. But not all ETFs handle income the same way. And that's where the difference between accumulating and distributing ETFs really matters. Some companies pay a dividend to you as a shareholder. A distributing ETF pays out these dividends to you as cash whenever the underlying companies pay them, usually a few times per year. So if the companies in your ETF collectively pay a 3% dividend, you'll receive that cash directly into your account. Distributing ETFs can be recognized by the following abbreviation next to their name. This is a real-life example of the iShares Core MSCI World ETF. An accumulating ETF, on the other hand, doesn't pay dividends out. It automatically reinvests them back into the fund, which means your holdings quietly grow in value over time without you lifting a finger. In short, distributing ETFs give you regular cash income. Accumulating ETFs give you automatic reinvestment and long-term compounding growth. Now, what are the pros and cons regarding these two investing strategies? With distributing ETFs, you receive cash dividends, great if you want to generate regular income. And it's transparent, you see exactly what you earn. There are some cons to this investment strategy. In many European countries, for example Belgium, you pay around 30% tax on dividends, the so-called Reinders tax. That tax can significantly reduce your total return. And if you want to reinvest those dividends, you'll often pay extra transaction fees. Now let's take a look at the advantages of accumulating ETFs. You don't have to pay immediate tax on dividends since you never receive them as cash. Furthermore, the dividends are automatically reinvested, creating a compounding effect. Your money earns money on top of money. And lastly, fewer transactions mean less transaction costs and less paperwork. But what are the disadvantages if you should choose for the accumulating strategy? There is no cash flow, so they're not ideal if you want income from your investments. It's harder to see how much dividend you're earning since it's reinvested behind the scenes. Let's look at what this means over a 30-year period. Both lines on this graph start with the same 10,000 euros investment. The solid line is the accumulating ETF, which reinvests all returns automatically. The dashed line is the distributing ETF, where dividends are paid out and taxed before you can reinvest them. Here's the key part: the ETF earns 7% per year, and 2% of that comes from dividends. If you hold a distributing ETF in Belgium, that 2% dividend is taxed at 30%, meaning you only reinvest 1.4% of it. So instead of reinvesting the full 7%, the distributing ETF effectively reinvests 5% price growth plus 1.4% net dividends, which is 6.4% per year. It doesn't sound like a big difference, but watch what happens. After 10 years, the accumulating ETF grows to around 19,700 euros, while the distributing ETF reaches roughly 18,600 euros. After 20 years, the gap widens, 38,700 euros versus 34,600 euros, over 4,000 euros difference. And after 30 years, the effect of tax drag becomes dramatic. The accumulating ETF grows to roughly 76,000 euros, while the distributing ETF ends up near 64,000 euros. That's almost 12,000 euros lost, purely because part of your dividends was taxed before it could compound. That's why the structure of your ETF matters so much. Even small frictions create large differences over long periods. So, which one should you choose? Well, it really depends on what you want from your investments. If you like seeing cash hit your account, a distributing ETF might feel right. It pays you dividends, it gives you cash flow, and if you live in a country with little or no dividend tax, that can actually make sense. But if you live in a high-tax country, like Belgium or Germany, the story changes. Because every time a dividend is paid out, a part of it gets taxed before it can grow. That's where accumulating ETFs shine. They don't pay you cash. Instead, they quietly reinvest everything. And that means your money keeps compounding, without tax drag slowing it down. So if you're focused on long-term growth, and you want your returns to work as efficiently as possible, accumulating ETFs are usually the better choice. In the end, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. The best ETF structure depends on your goals, your time horizon, and your tax situation. And as you've just seen, even small differences today can turn into massive gaps over time. So let's quickly wrap this up. Distributing ETFs can be a great choice if you want regular income and you live in a country where dividends aren't heavily taxed. But accumulating ETFs often make more sense if your country does tax dividends heavily, because they keep your money compounding inside the fund, instead of leaking out to taxes every year. And this is important. Before following investment advice from the US, always remember that tax rules in Europe are very different. One small structural difference, accumulating versus distributing, can literally mean thousands of euros more or less over the long run. If this helped you understand ETFs a bit better, hit like, subscribe for more investing breakdowns, and share this with someone who's just getting started. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.